Hershey Park is a unique park located in the heart of Pennsylvania. In this day and age, most major parks are owned by major theme park corporations: Disney, Universal, Six Flags, with a few family-owned and operated parks. However, this one major park that breaks this mold with a major company operating just this one park: the Hershey Chocolate Company. Hershey Park is over 100 years old, right in the chocolate company's headquarters, with tons of amazing thrill rides and everything for the whole family. Today we are going to look at what makes Hershey Park unique and what its strengths and weaknesses are. Hershey Park is a lot older than most parks out there, with them opening their doors in 1906 by the Hershey Chocolate Company. Open as a form of entertainment for its employees, Hershey Park has been entertaining its guests for well over 100 years. Over the years, Hershey has added many attractions, mainly roller coasters, the first being Wildcat, opening in 1923. Wildcat's Revenge is actually the third iteration of the Wildcat name, as the original shut its doors in 1945. Fast forward to today, and Hershey Park is filled with 76 different attractions. Normally when you enter a park, you just walk through the front gate and go directly to the rides. Hershey Park is unique, where it felt more like a Disney park, with having a small downtown Disney-esque shopping center before you enter the park. There is also a free dark ride in Chocolate World that I need to add to my to-do list for my next visit. Hershey Park also commonly hosts large concerts in their stadium throughout the summer. Combined with all of this makes Hershey Park more of a destination than just an amusement park. First coaster you'll see as you're entering the park is Candemonium, a B&M hypercoaster. Built in 2020, this is one of the newest coasters at Hershey Park and gives an amazing first impression of the park overall. Like many of the rides here, I have only had the chance to ride one since my first visit in 2024. I personally felt that Candemonium was a little lacking for my single back row ride. It had decent airtime, however I wanted it to be a little stronger. I have heard the front row gives better airtime overall, so I'll have to see if that changes my perspective. One final note is, while it is tempting to head directly to Candemonium first thing, everyone in the park will be having that same exact thought and hit it up first. Make sure you come back later in the afternoon once the line has died down. Heading further back clockwise is Fahrenheit, a ride that I recommend hitting up first due to its low capacity, as it can get a long line. Fahrenheit overall is a great Intamin looping coaster, something that is not too common from Intamin, with its vertical lift, 97-degree drop, and hitting 6 inversions while riding in trains identical to Maverick at Cedar Point. While far from a headliner, this is a fun supporting coaster in Hershey Park's lineup. Continuing down the pathway, you'll find one of the two headliner coasters at Hershey Park, and their newest coaster, Wildcat's Revenge. Replacing GCI's first coaster, Wildcat, Wildcat's Revenge is an incredible RMC hybrid coaster, packed with tons of amazing airtime from airtime hills, wave turns, and a double down, plus the insanely smooth inversions that make this an excellent ride. I do feel that people hype this one up a little too much, calling it one of RMC's best coasters. I personally felt that it wasn't quite best in the world quality, however is still a fantastic coaster. One final note is, thanks to the 3 trains and pretty good operations, Wildcat's Revenge line moves very quickly, something that will not be common across the park, but we'll get into that later. Continuing on is Laugh Track, a Mauer spinner in the dark. I personally did not get a chance to ride this one, as the line was huge all day long, around 90 minutes. This is something that is very common from my understanding, so hit this one or Fahrenheit first thing at rope drop. Overall, this looks like a fun coaster with great theming, something I am excited to hit up on my next visit. Going all the way to the back of the park is Lightning Racer, a dueling GCI wooden coaster. While not having a ton of airtime, Lightning Racer is pure fun as you pass by the other train multiple times throughout the layout. You'll want to get at least 2 rides, one on each track, something that is pretty easy to do thanks to the high capacity. Making your way back towards the front of the park are 2 coasters right next to each other, Jolly Rancher Remix and Storm Runner. Storm Runner is an excellent Intamin hydraulic launch with a very punchy launch and quirky layout. Unlike most hydraulic launch coasters that focus on just the launch and top hat, Storm Runner has a very quirky and fun layout past that top hat. With this one-of-a-kind flying snake dive inversion, Storm Runner is a must-do. Typically, a Vekoma Boomerang is a skip for me. However, Jolly Rancher Remix brings something unique to the table. Adding a fun concert and light package theme to go along with the Jolly Rancher brand, the energy is fantastic while waiting in the station and on the ride. The fog tunnel with the Jolly Rancher smell is a nice touch as well. You head down the hill and towards the creek, and you pass by one of the oldest coasters at Hershey Park, which is Trailblazer, an Aero Classic Mine Train coaster. Going up to Great Bear, another quirky roller coaster, this B&M invert has one of the strangest first drops out there. More traditional elements along the creek, and then very unique elements as you race towards the end along the creek as well. Like any B&M invert, Great Bear is worth a ride in the front row. Heading into the final section of the park where you can find the final 3 coasters, Comet, Super Duper Looper, and Sky Rush. Super Duper Looper is a classic Schwarzkopf that, thanks to running out of time, I didn't get a chance to ride myself, so I'll have to get it next visit. This was the first roller coaster with an inversion on the East Coast, and is a great first big kid coaster for the younger thrill seekers. Comet is a classic PTC wooden coaster from 1946. This is a good classic that I recommend riding near the end of the night, as for most of the day it was an hour wait. This is a decent coaster, more geared for younger ones with not much airtime. It used to have buzz bars, however, which may have made it a better ride experience before 2024. Finally, you have the second of Hershey Park's signature roller coasters, Sky Rush. This rare intimate wing hypercoaster is 2 of a kind, with the only other installation being at Ferrari World in Abu Dhabi. Sky Rush is packed with some of the strongest airtime I've ever experienced, and maybe the best first drop out there. With a wicked fast lift hill and a first drop that gives amazing ejector as you turn to the right, Sky Rush really starts with a bang heading into the blazing fast airtime hills. The only reason why Sky Rush did not completely blow my socks off is the second half does fizzle out a little bit and delivers significantly less forces. However, that first half alone is well worth getting multiple rides on this unique attraction. While Hershey Park does excel at roller coasters, they do also have several non-coaster attractions throughout the park. There are multiple transportation rides, such as a monorail and a chairlift themed to Hershey Kisses. There are 3 S&S space shots near Great Bear, multiple water rides including an insane tidal force which gives the most powerful splash I've ever seen. When I went, the bridge, which many similar rides have this where you can get drenched, was closed off. I am guessing due to safety concerns, as this wave would absolutely knock you off your feet if you were not paying attention. I did see there are a few aquatic animal shows around the park as well. Next year, Hershey is getting an S&S Scream and Swing themed to Twizzlers, which is my personal favorite flat ride outside of Drop Towers. There is one thing that Hershey Park is not lacking in, and that is their attractions. Something that is not necessary, but if excelled, can really make a park really shine, and that is food. Now, a place like Hershey Park, you can expect some excellent sweet offerings. While I did not have this myself, their viral milkshakes are a sight to behold. Probably too much for one individual to eat, but a great option to share. There is also a table service restaurant, the Chocolatier, which most items have chocolate in them. Some in areas you would not expect, such as these wings, which have chocolate barbecue sauce. As for more traditional offerings inside the park, it's okay. Outside of their barbecue restaurant, Spring Creek Smokehouse, which did offer fantastic brisket and mac and cheese. Most of your food offerings, however, just seem to be your average theme park food. Now, how much time should you allocate to visiting Hershey Park? I myself only had 1 day to enjoy the park, and while on a summer weekday I was able to get on almost all the roller coasters without using their fast track, I do really wish I had an extra day. This park is jam-packed with so many attractions between the roller coasters, flat rides, and even shows, that it was truly a struggle to get almost everything done. Unfortunately, one of the major reasons why this is the case is due to Hershey Park's embarrassingly poor operations. Outside of Wildcats Revenge and Sky Rush, the operation I experienced were abysmal. The entire time I was waiting in line for Candemonium, I noticed that all 3 trains would commonly stack on the final brake run, an attraction that really should be a people eater with how efficient B&M Hypers are. Great Bear would have its train stacked waiting to enter the station for about a minute after it had already completed its course. It was hard not to have this lack of efficiency not taint my experience at the park, as this is by far the largest major issue Hershey Park has. With some proper training from upper management, this could easily be one of the easiest things to fix and greatly improve the park. To combat this, as much as it pains me to suggest this since this is encouraging poor operations, I do strongly suggest investing in their fast track if you only have 1 day at the park. Otherwise, if you have the time, I strongly suggest spending 2 weekdays at the park. Our final touch point to go over before getting into the final scores is how much a trip to Hershey Park is going to cost you. Ticket prices overall are very reasonable, with tickets on their website for around $60, with occasional deals popping up to get you to drop to around $50. Their Fast Track Unlimited ranges between $75 and $225 depending on what day you select. When I visited, Fast Track Unlimited would have been around $100. Parking is $30, which sadly is the average price you're going to find nowadays at a park. However, if you buy the parking online, it is cheaper at $25. Food prices are pretty typical, with a meal running around $15 to $20. I did purchase their daily meal plan, which was $44, and I could get a meal every 90 minutes. Now, it is important to note that unlike Cedar Fair parks, Hershey's meal plan is a lot more limited at where they accept their meal plan. Overall, I have to say, if you're going to be there all day, getting a meal plan is the way to go. Now, let's get into my final thoughts. Areas I think for improvement and overall scores for Hershey Park. Roller Coaster Rundown is a weighted average of scores, where attractions get 40%, operations are 20%, park presentation is 15%, food also gets 15%, and overall value gets 10%, combining all together to give a final score. Hershey Park is a park that on paper should be one of the best regional parks in the country. It is filled with the brim with amazing roller coasters and flat rides that are great for the entire family. Attractions are Hershey's strong suit with a score of 9.7 out of 10. The park presentation is great with lots of nice touches around the park, paying homage to the great offerings Hershey chocolate brings. I do feel that Hershey Park is still an amusement park where the Hershey theming could be embellished more than it is. Park presentation gets an 8.8 out of 10. Hershey Park has decent food that I feel could be one of the biggest rooms of improvement, as none of it is bad, but outside of the barbecue restaurant, nothing really blew me away. Food gets a 7.2 out of 10. Like most regional amusement parks, Hershey Park does well with value, fairly priced tickets around $60. Average cost for a fast queue system that works pretty well, and typical prices of parking and food. Value gets an 8.9 out of 10. Now, by far the biggest improvement to be made in the park, and what is truly holding Hershey Park back from elite status, is its operations. As I mentioned before, the operations were pretty abysmal for such a major amusement park. As far as I can tell, it sounds like this has been a problem for years, and something I really hope gets fixed by the time I come for my next visit. Operations gets a poor 4.8 out of 10. With that final note, Hershey Park gets a roller coaster rundown of 8.1 out of 10. Currently ranking number 16 out of the 33 parks I've visited. I do truly think that if Hershey Park did make major improvements in its operations and made their food a hair better, then it would be cracking into the top 10 easy. As for now, Hershey Park is a great park with amazing attractions that has room for improvement to truly be elite. Well, let me know what you think. Comment down below if you agree, disagree, or maybe there are some things I'm missing from my one visit at Hershey Park. And if you're new here, consider subscribing to Park Productions for more fun reviews, vlogs, and ranking videos throughout the theme and amusement park industry. Thank you all for watching.